The morning of March 14th, Nathan Cole walked into Apex Defense Corporation for the last time, and he didn't know it yet. 15 years. 15 years of securing America's most sensitive defense contracts. 15 years of catching cyber threats that could have cost this country billions. 15 years summarized in 47 pages sitting right there on that table. Nathan, I'll make this quick. Your services are no longer required. Richard, I have the Q3 defense audit results right here. The contracts. No one is here to discuss contracts, Nathan. We are here to discuss performance, your performance. You were a charity hire who got lucky, twice, and your luck has run out. Not one person in that room said a word. Not one person who had eaten lunch with Nathan, celebrated with Nathan, trusted Nathan, said a single word. He left the building with nothing but his jacket, his phone, and a photo in his wallet. I'm not done. Before we get to the Senate hearing that made every major knee. WS Network goes silent before we get to the moment Richard Harlow was arrested on live television. You need to understand exactly how a janitor with $80 in his pocket built the case that brought down a billion-dollar empire. Stay with me. Because this is not the story you think it is. Nathan Cole was not just a cybersecurity engineer. He was the reason Apex Defense Corporation held $2.3 billion in U.S. government contracts for 15 consecutive years. He was the man who caught the 2019 Singapore intrusion attempt before it reached classified DoD servers. He was the architect behind Apex's entire encrypted communications framework. In short, Richard Harlow needed Nathan far more than Nathan ever needed Richard Harlow. It started with a date, one small wrong date on a government contract that nobody else would have noticed. But Nathan noticed, because Nathan built the system that logged every timestamp. What Nathan discovered buried under 14 layers of shell company routing was that Harlow had been systematically backdating $2.3 billion in U.S. defense contracts, funneling government money into private offshore accounts. For 7 years, Nathan didn't panic. He didn't confront Harlow. He quietly began building a case step by careful step, the same way he had always approached a threat, methodically, patiently, decisively. Harlow had found out. And before Nathan could report a single thing, Harlow moved first. Fabricated performance reviews, backdated HR complaints, and a termination letter all ready and waiting. A man who had spent 7 years hiding billions of dollars was not going to be stopped by one engineer with a folder of spreadsheets. But here is what Harlow miscalculated in his rush to destroy the evidence. He forgot one thing. The server room on the 14th floor of his own building. The room that Nathan knew better than anyone alive. The room that, every Thursday night, was cleaned by a contract janitor. Most men after 15 years would have gone home, filed for unemployment, moved on. Nathan Cole took a night janitor job at the same corporate tower not because he had no options, but because the only copy of the evidence that could stop Harlow was locked inside a server room on the 14th floor. And janitors have access to every floor. Every night between shifts, while Zoe slept against him, Nathan studied. Updated his knowledge, kept his edge sharp, because he wasn't a janitor. He was a father with a plan, and the plan required patience. 6 weeks into his janitorial job, Nathan got the access code to the 14th floor server room. Standard building protocol cleaning staff needed it for the quarterly deep clean. Richard Harlow, surrounded by lawyers and security teams, never once considered that the man mopping his floors might be the most dangerous person in his building. Nathan had exactly 40 minutes before the automated security log would register unusual dwell time in a restricted zone. He had planned this moment for 6 weeks. He did not waste a single second. He located Harlow's hidden partition, the encrypted folder that had been invisible to every previous IT audit. The one Harlow believed was completely untraceable. The one Nathan had helped design 3 years earlier because Harlow had asked Nathan to build him an internal backup system for sensitive files. Nathan had built it, and Nathan remembered every single line of the architecture. 12 minutes in, the progress bar at 67%, and the footsteps of Harlow's head of security Marcus Webb getting louder with every second. Server room clear, 23 minutes, progress bar at 91%. Nathan's phone lit up. Zoe calling. Nathan stared at it for a moment. Then he silenced the call and kept working. 96%, 99%. Complete. The entire fraud case, 7 years of Richard Harlow's crimes, was now on a device small enough to lose in a coat pocket. Then Nathan heard another set of footsteps. Closer this time. Mull. Tipple people. Voices urgent. Delete the partition tonight. He ordered it wiped before the audit. They had come to destroy it. Tonight. The exact same night Nathan had taken it. Nathan looked at the USB drive in his hand, then at his cleaning cart, then at Zoe's missed call notification glowing on his phone. A decision made in 2 seconds. The most important piece of evidence in a $2.3 billion fraud case was now inside a 9-year-old's lunchbox, with a sandwich and a juice box. Nathan calmly walked out of the server room with his cleaning cart, nodding at the IT team as they rushed past him. They didn't even look up. "Daddy, are you coming home?" "Almost, baby, almost." 3 days later, Nathan's anonymous tip reached the right desk. The Department of Defense didn't call ahead. They arrived at Apex Corp at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday morning with federal credentials, sealed warrants, and absolutely no intention of leaving until they had answers. "This man Natha." N. Cole is a disgruntled former employee who stole classified proprietary data in an act of deliberate corporate espionage. We are offering a $500,000 reward for information leading to his immediate detainment. His name was on every screen in America, his photo on every news channel, and he had $80 in cash, a USB drive, and a child's lunchbox, and a 9-year-old daughter who needed to be somewhere safe before midnight, room 1014, $58 a night, which left them $22 for food. For however long this was going to take, Nathan sat on the edge of the bed, head in his hands, maps spread out beside him, legal pads covered in notes. His phone dead. Then Zoe quietly unzipped her backpack. She pulled out a ceramic piggy bank painted pink with yellow daisies. She turned it upside down. Coins spilled onto the motel carpet. Nickels, dimes, quarters, folded dollar bills, a few crinkled fives. Birthday money, tooth fairy money, months of caref. All saving, she sorted every coin, stacked them carefully, counted under her breath. Then she pushed every single coin and every single bill across the carpet toward her father. "Daddy, this is enough to fight back." Nathan stared at the money, then at his daughter. Then something broke quietly, completely, the way only a parent can break. He pulled her into his arms, held her tight. "And for the first time through all of this," Nathan Cole cried, "you are worth every single fight." He had lost his career, his reputation, his savings, his name. But in room 114 of a roadside motel, he still had the only thing that had ever mattered. His lawyer called at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday. The call lasted 4 minutes. "Nathan, I'm sorry. I have a family. They've made it very clear what happens to people who represent you in this case. I can't." Nathan lowered the phone. The call had already ended. He stared at the wall. His bank accounts were frozen within 24 hours. Federal hold requested by Apex Company. RP's legal team through a judge who owed Harlow a favor. Then came the news coverage. Nathan always seemed unstable to me. Honestly, I'm not surprised. He had access to everything. I always worried about that. He was paranoid, obsessed. Nobody at Apex is surprised by this. Every single one of them chose their salary over the truth. And Nathan, who had never once in 15 years put himself before the mission, watched it happen in real time and couldn't say a word. He had given them everything. Every late night, every solved threat, every decision made to protect this company and the contracts it was trusted to serve. He had given them 15 years, and they had taken everything back. His career, his name, his savings, his colleagues, his freedom, everything except one thing. A promise he had made to a little girl who still believed in him. A little girl who had emptied her piggy bank on a motel floor and pushed every coin toward her father and said, "This is enough to fight back. If you've ever been told you were nothing by someone who needed you to believe it, stay right here. Because what happens next is why this story exists." At 11:17 p.m., Nathan's cracked phone screen lit up on the motel nightstand. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Nathan Cole, this is General William Hayes. I've been watching what Harlow is doing to you on the news. I want you to know something. I have been building a case on Richard Harlow for 2 years. 2 years, I just needed one piece." Nathan sat up slowly. "What piece?" "Yours." 8 years earlier, Nathan Cole had personally intercepted a military-grade cyber attack on General Hayes' command network during a classified overseas operation. He had never told anyone, never asked for recognition, just solved it and moved on, because that was the kind of man Nathan Cole was. What Nathan didn't know was that General Hayes had congressional connections reaching directly into a Senate subcommittee that had been quietly investigating defense contract fraud for 18 months. They had everything, except the server evidence, except the proof that Harlow had personally ordered the backdating, the proof that was sitting inside Zoe's lunchbox. They worked for 48 hours straight. No sleep, no breaks except the one Zoe forced on them. At 3 a.m, Zoe walked into the kitchen in her pajamas. She looked at Nathan and the general. Neither of them had moved in hours. She didn't say a word. She filled the kettle, made instant noodles in 2 cups, placed one in front of Nathan, one in front of the general. Then she opened her backpack, pulled out a yellow sticky note and a crayon. She wrote one word, then stuck it to the corner of Nathan's laptop screen. WIN, written in a 9-year-old's handwriting. Big, deliberate, certain. Nathan looked at it, then at Zoe. She was already curling up on the couch with her jacket over her, asleep within seconds, for the first time since the morning they took. Everything from him, Nathan Cole smiled, a real one. Small. Real. Nathan Cole had not worn a suit in 6 months. This one Zoe had ironed herself 3 times, until every crease was exactly right. She had stood back, inspected it, and said, "Now you look like you." The Senate chamber was full, subcommittee members, cameras, a packed press gallery, and 10 feet away sat Richard Harlow, his legal team surrounding him, his face carefully arranged into confidence, but his hands were not still. Nathan entered the chamber. He did not look at Harlow. He walked to the witness table, placed the encrypted USB drive in front of him, and sat down. "Mr. Cole, before you present your evidence for the record, please tell this committee, who are you?" Nathan looked up, directly at the camera, then answered calmly, without hesitation. "I'm the janitor who saved $2.3 billion in U.S. defense contracts." The chamber fell silent. Then came the gasps. Then the press gallery erupted. Then cameras swung toward Richard Harlow, and the confidence disappeared from his face. All of it. Gone. It took Nathan Cole 22 minutes to present 7 years of Richard Harlow's crimes to the United States Senate. The USB drive contained 14,000 files, every offshore routing code, every backdated signature, every shell company, every stolen dollar. The moment the evidence was formally entered into the congressional record, Harlow stood up. His lawyer grabbed his arm and whispered something urgent. Harlow pulled free. Then he moved toward the exit. Outside the Senate chamber, 3 federal agents were already waiting. Harlow stopped walking the moment he saw them. He looked back. There was nowhere left to go, and the cameras were already through the doors. Handcuffs, live on television. Every major news network carrying it in real time. APEXD Defense CEO Richard Harlow arrested, Senate fraud hearing. Within 37 minutes of the arrest, Apex Defense Corporation's full board of directors held an emergency vote. The result was unanimous. Harlow was removed, and the board, needing someone who knew every contract, every system, and every corner of that company, appointed Nathan Cole as emergency interim CEO. Nathan walked back into Apex Corporation headquarters. The lobby, the elevators, the 22nd floor, the same glass boardroom where he had been humiliated 6 months earlier. He walked to the head of the table. Then he turned around. On the wall behind the CEO's chair hung a simple gold frame. Inside it was Zoe's crayon drawing, pink and yellow, a smiley sun in the corner, and the words, "Daddy's office." Nathan stood there for a long moment, looking at the drawing. The crayon drawing that had been left behind when they escorted him out was now hanging on the wall behind the chair he was about to sit in. He could have made them feel what he had felt. He chose something harder. "I know what Harlow threatened you with. I know why you stayed quiet. I'm not here to punish people for surviving. Every one of you who was coerced your job is here if you want it. The people who spoke on camera against me, I don't need an apology. I need you to do good work. That's all." The room exhaled. Someone quietly cried. The weight of 6 months finally began to lift. Nathan created a full company scholarship fund in his late wife's name for employees' children who wanted to pursue careers in technology and defense. And then Nathan did the last thing anyone expected. He sat across from Richard Harlow in a federal correctional facility. Harlow looked smaller now, the expensive suit gone, replaced by institutional clothing. Nathan looked at him, not with anger, not with triumph, with something quieter than both. "I didn't come here to watch you suffer, Richard. I came here to tell you something. The day you fired me in front of 50 people and left my daughter's drawing on the desk, that was the day I became the father I always should have been. You didn't be. Reek me. You built me. So in a way I owe you a thanks." Harlow said nothing, just a man sitting with what he had done. Nathan didn't wait for a reply. He stood up, buttoned his jacket, and walked out. Later, during golden hour, Nathan and Zoe walked together through a quiet cemetery. Late afternoon sunlight filtered through the trees. They stopped at a simple headstone. Beautiful, peaceful, his wife's name engraved across the front. And beneath it, one word: beloved. Zoe reached into her backpack. She pulled out the ceramic piggy bank, empty now, the paint chipped, a small crack running along one side from the night in the motel. She knelt down and gently placed it against the base of the headstone. Then she stood, looked at the stone for a moment, and spoke softly. Certain, not sad, just honest. "Mom, Daddy won." Nathan wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulled her close, closed his eyes, and smiled. The same small, real smile from the kitchen at 3 in the morning, the one that meant everything was finally going to be okay. He never stopped. Not when they took his name, not when they froze his accounts, not when they turned his colleagues against him, not when every door closed, not once, because real fathers don't quit. They mop floors if they have to. They sleep in motels with $22 to their name. They let their daughters put sticky notes that say WIN on their laptops, and they believe it. They get back up every single time. DAD never quits. If this story hit you, drop a comment below and tell me, what would you have done in Nathan's place? And if you know a father who never quit, tag him right now. He needs to see this.